Pandemic report. Yes, I don't know which pandemic report number we're up to, but I don't know. It'll be in the title of this video. But yeah, where do we sit now and what's going on? Well, we are essentially stage 3 here. Stage 3 means almost everything is opened up. Even movie theaters, eating in restaurants. There are some restrictions. Oddly enough, the restaurants is funny. You have to wear a mask going into the restaurant, but you can take it off to eat. But the staff has to wear restaurants and stuff, or has to wear masks, etc. A little weird, considering you would only be walking through it with your mask for like a minute or two, and then you take it off. Whatever. It's weird. Movie theaters are odd. They have, obviously, it's reduced amount of seating available. But the big chain here, Cineplex, though it's all, they've gone to all online or all digital, stuff. You can't buy tickets at the theaters anymore because of this. The way they set it up, which is odd, is they designated pairs of seats around the theaters. Now, Leslie seemed to think that that's probably because of cleaning. And it makes sense. Because in my mind, I was like, why only pairs of seating when, say, if a family was going to buy it, there, it could be 3, 4, 5, in which case you'd be separated and all over the place. Or if one person buys a ticket to go solo, that means 2 seats are gone. Because you can't put anybody in the other one. And it doesn't shift, it doesn't move. They're always the same pair of 2 seats. But when it comes to cleaning, that means you can go in, once everybody's left the theater, you're not just cleaning up the popcorn anymore, you're now wiping down everything and disinfecting the area. In theory, I don't know, I've never been to we haven't gone to the theater or anything since, but yeah. The main things that are kind of shut down still, I do believe there's still no singing or dancing available, so you can have a bar open, but you can't have any clubs open. You can't have any karaoke. Concerts are still a no-go, really, except in virtual format. A lot of, not a lot, but several bands have been playing at venues and essentially, broadcasting that over the internet. Some do it for free, some do paid things. But yeah, most things are open now. It's very, very few things that are closed. Again, schools is the big question about what's going to be coming up for that. But schools are going ahead to reopen. So, yeah. That's another discussion for another video. But one of the things that is often asked is, how has Canada managed to keep our numbers so low while something like the United States has gone through the roof and other countries had the same problem? First off, Canada is a very, very large country where most of our population is only in a certain area. So there are places that are very, very remote, which, because they're remote, don't have a lot of access to medicines and such like that. It's like maybe you have to take a plane or a helicopter or something. You have to fly out of wherever they are to get to, and it could be an hour flight or something like that to medical care. So in those regions, I have heard of, native reserves, some of them, that they are essentially not allowing anybody into the reserves that aren't prior, approval. And I get it. It's, you got to protect. If you can't get any type of medical aid in any type of real quick fashion, yeah, the last thing you want is some kind of disease being spread around your population. I get it. But yeah, there are pockets and stuff where there really isn't a lot of interaction with a lot of people. So during a month, you may only have interaction with 4 or 5 people anyways, which, we're in stage 3 right now. So honestly, you're supposed to, that's smaller than your your bubble that you're supposed to have right now. we've opened up, even right now, I think it's, you can have parties indoors up to 50 and outdoors up to 100 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's even more now. I can't remember, but I think that's the number. So, yeah, part of that, reason why we've kept our numbers down is because a small portion, but I say a small portion, but it's still a large number of our population is rural and remote. Okay, but what about in the main population areas, like city centers, one of the things we did is we kind of listened to, the politicians. We didn't shrug it off. We didn't fight back against, restrictions and stuff, as much as some places did. We took this seriously, and for the most part, people did what they were supposed to do. And as such, when we shut down, people shut down, and only those people who, were supposed to be out and about were out and about, and only for what they were supposed to be out and about for, being grocery shopping or being an essential worker or somebody deemed essential that has to go to work, etc. And so that helped. When right now we're stage 3, which doesn't involve any masks, believe it or not. So that's an Ontario government, our provincial government has stated that. But regional governments and city governments, City of Toronto and our region here and the regions around it, the GTA, which is one of the main areas, where there's a lot of infection in terms of numbers, said, sorry, you have to wear a mask. So, one level of government was just, we're in stage 3. We're not mandating masks because that would be, though they did divide it up before. They did say some places are in stage 3, some places are in stage 2 still, but now everybody's stage 3. I know it's a little confusing, but they wanted to just essentially, instead of being very nitpicky about what has to do what, they just said, stage 3, but those small regional areas could make bylaws or other things, and the mask thing was a lot of little, communities and such, and it's kind of spread since then, have mandated masks, and so that has really helped. Now, that isn't to say we've squashed it. They've gone with the flatten the curve. They haven't tried to stop the spread. They haven't tried to stop the virus, like places. They said they couldn't be done. Yet we've seen it, places did it. So, it can be done. For future reference, world, it can be done. You just have to have the will to do it. And so we do have a spread. It's still spreading. We're getting, in Ontario, we're getting over 100 new cases a day. And this is the thing. This is only people being tested. So these are people who are getting sick and going to be tested. Right? And obviously some people who aren't sick, who are getting tested, just getting tested for the sake of it. Maybe they thought they could have been in contact with people. Maybe they were in contact with people. Maybe they just wanted to get tested because now it's been opened up. You don't have to follow any of the, 3 or 4 criteria to be able to get tested anymore. Now anybody can be tested if they want to be tested, which is the way it should have been right off the bat. But whatever. It's gotten to the point where, yes, our numbers are low, but they aren't zero. And we are seeing flare-ups, and it often happens that somebody will have a get-together or whatever, be it a function, whether it be a get-together at somebody's house, a party, a whatever, right? Any large gathering, any large number of people getting together often finds that it results in at least 1 or 2 new infections, which means the virus is out there and people don't know they have it. It's as simple as that. Either that or they're going out knowing they're sick and infecting other people, which I don't think is, there's a possibility there is some of that, but most cases it's probably asymptomatic people going out and infecting other people. makes me wonder just how many asymptomatic people are out there, which is what always worries me. But yeah, it's one of those things where we essentially followed the rules and kept our rules, and we didn't open up. We still aren't fully open, right? Like I said, certain sectors have essentially they're dying, man. Like I know a bunch of people who are in the music business, and they're having a really hard time right now. And that's all portions of it, right? Like people who essentially perform music as they're living depend on people to go out and see them perform. When you can't really do that, how do you, like, what are you going to do? Now, we did have some kind of monetary thing going on here that was done by the federal government, which is probably one of the reasons why we were able to do what we were doing. I do know some places, I think the United States did a sort of like an unemployment type insurance. See, here you could do both technically. If you applied for unemployment because you were laid off, you could do it. Then you could get this, essentially this money from the government to, it's a stay-at-home money. You didn't have to be laid off, but if you weren't working, like if the company was keeping you on, but you weren't getting paid anymore, then essentially this money was supposed to be for you, which was a good portion of the population. But I do believe that may be stopping soon. I don't know. I'm not collecting it, so I don't know what the deal is exactly with it. But yeah, that's essentially what we've done. We've stayed vigilant. We didn't open up too soon. We didn't look at it and go, oh, Manitoba or one of the other provinces are open up, or the States is opening up. We should open up, because of the economy. We got to keep, essentially it's always about the economy, right? No, we stayed and watched the numbers, and essentially they played the numbers and the odds, right? That's what they've been doing the entire time, is guesstimating and estimating and playing around with the numbers and seeing what the outcome would be based off of whatever model they've got going. And as more information comes out from, doctors and scientists and stuff, people studying the virus and such, then they make decisions based off of that. One thing that'll be interesting will be, will we have another, big influx of this disease? And if so, what will the government do at that point? Yeah, that's another day, another video. But here we've doing pretty good because of the nice weather. We had the pool open. Leslie isn't as cooped up, or feeling as cooped up, I guess. Sarah was able to go to her friend's place and sleep over and that kind of stuff, and so we're not feeling as cooped up. We have James out. We go, outside walking. Nice weather allows you to go outside and enjoy that, so you don't feel as cramped or as restricted as you might otherwise. But yeah, we've been doing pretty good. We went to a zoo. It was an outdoor zoo type area, not the big zoo here, the Toronto Zoo. We didn't go to that. We went to the Oshawa Zoo and checked that out. We also went to Jungle Cat World. Both of these places are outdoors, so we checked that out. We went to a sunflower, I guess it's a farm, but they had this sunflower thing that you paid to go, and you could take pictures and such, and we went there. So we've gone out to a few things. Probably would have liked to have gone out to a few more things, but at the same time, it's like restricted incomes. You gotta keep things under control. So a lot of Amazon Prime and Netflix and watching movies and such. Yeah, I have been following this. A lot of people are getting, they're done with this, right? They don't want to hear any more COVID. They just want to move on. But I have been keeping up and trying to keep on top of things and where research and the vaccine, potential vaccines and such. And, what is it, hydrochloroquine, whatever thing that, hydroxychloroquine, or what, I don't know, whatever, some scientific name that President Trump was touting, and everybody was on his case. And then there was some, scientific data that came out that it was like it had, increased, risk of heart attacks and all this kind of stuff. And people were like, okay, so even if it did work, you're higher increase for percentage of these. So really, they didn't, the risk and reward wasn't seeming to work out. But apparently, new data is coming out that they weren't, even when they were doing administering this drug, they weren't following the guidelines for it. So apparently they were administering too much of the drug than the drug actually calls for. Because this is apparently a drug that's been around for a long time. It's not something new. It's been around for a long time. So it and it's used regularly. So apparently it actually is effective. But that's another discussion for another time. But yeah, I've been trying to keep up with it. And I'm going to give you, when I started this off, I'd give you YouTube channels to check out. And I'm going to give you one. And this is because this is a Dr. John Campbell. Dr. John Campbell does a video every day. Sometimes he has guests, sometimes he doesn't. But he doesn't come out as either for or against anything. He looks at actual published scientific data. He doesn't go by any rumors. He doesn't go by anything like that. He waits for actual published scientific data, except for vitamin D. He always likes to tout vitamin D without there being anything there, but he likes to tout it. Even to the point where I think one of his daily episodes lately has been about vitamin D and research done for it, but the amount of people involved in it was very, very small. And even at the end, he's like, the paper says we need a larger group to actually have any justifiable evidence. And he goes, yeah, but you know what? I still think it's a good idea, and it's cheap, and you should probably be taking it anyways. So it's one of those things where he looks at papers and he breaks it down and he puts it into. He tries to put it as basic information as possible, even though he will go into the sciencey portion of it and explain things, and he'll even break down the Latin wording of different things, what each portion of the word means, so that it means more of this, less of that. It means it's for the heart, for the blood, for the because he's reading out the papers, right? So he's trying to explain it to you so you understand it, which is good. He's not just throwing out information out there and being like, this is what I heard, so this is what we're going with, and making up his own math, which I've seen on some other channels out there that really report on the COVID pandemic, which I don't like. I don't want anybody who's going to try and make their own conclusions. Right? Report on what's known, on what may be based off of, information, but don't state it like fact. Don't present yourself as fact when really you're just making stuff up. Yes, it sounds all great, and yes, it could be true, but there's, until you have, this is the whole thing. This is why we're going through this, is some people thought one thing, some people thought another thing, and there's a variety of thoughts on the subject, even still today, based off of everything we've learned since. Everybody has different variety of opinions. Some people, think we should have been tougher. Some people think we should have been more lax. Some people think we shouldn't have done anything. But again, it's everybody's all over in different places, and every country and every situation has different things going on, right? And it's one of those things where you look at this whole pandemic situation, and you can't just put your finger on it. You just can't say there, right? Every country, every person is different, and we've found out with this that every person is so different when it comes to this, virus, that there's they've actually multiple different categories of infection, of, like critical terminal to critical to sick to feeling mild symptoms to no symptoms to didn't catch it to may never get it because they're immune, right? Like there's so many different categories, and some people break them out, larger, some people break them out small, bring them in smaller, and everybody has their different thoughts. But it's one of those things where it's so bizarre. Nobody's actually put any type of finger on it, and because everybody's different, and every country's different, and every economy is different, and every social aspects of every country is different, and groups within those countries, and etc. There is no one way to do it, right? And that's always been a problem. Will we learn from this? We hope so, because everybody pretty much agrees that, yeah, it's going to happen again. Maybe not this particular thing, but something like it. Maybe worse, maybe less worse, who knows? But yeah, we got to prepare for it, and we got to get better about dealing with it globally, I think, and not just individually and each country and stuff, but everybody has to get better. It just has to happen. We have to get on the same page. We have to work together. Otherwise, we are a global economy. We are a global people. We have planes. We fly. We can be in another part of the world within hours, So when you're no longer a few hours away from transmission to, say the next house, but rather from an entire population, the stakes are higher, and it's no longer our 1910 world. It's no longer the 1900s. This is 2020, folks. We can do a lot, man. The only thing that we aren't really doing is spreading this stuff to space yet. But yeah, I'll put a link to Dr. John Campbell's channel down in the doobly-doo. Go check it out if you're at all interested. He is, like I said, he's very neutral in the way he talks about things. He just presents information from the paper, whether it's positive or negative. He obviously would prefer more positive things to produce more positive things, but you use what you get, right? So yeah. How are you doing? Hopefully you're keeping safe. Again, we're doing pretty well here. So, yeah, James keeps us busy. We'll just put it in that. James keeps us busy and entertained and everything. So, I don't know what we would do if James wasn't here and we were going through this, honestly. But, yeah, thanks for watching. Till next video, take care, stay safe, have a good one.